Well, good morning and well, good afternoon actually, and welcome back to Planet Doug. I'm heading down the stairs at my hotel here in Kuala Lumpur, the O Hotel Crossroads, or O Crossroads Hotel. Some places listed as Hotel O Crossroads Hotel. It has a bewildering number of names, and I've never come down the stairs before, so I don't know where I'm going to end up. Not an exit over here, so that door you can't get out. This is kind of interesting. They have all kinds of like pop culture-y world photos here. I say pop culture just because there's the Beatles right there, and then there's the pictures from famous places all around the world, I guess, and sort of a hangout area. Beanbag and chairs. Good morning, how are you? Oh. Yeah, my route through the lobby shows it's very, very dim here. They need, in order to project sort of a welcoming environment, it would be nice to turn on the occasional light. It's so gloomy, and I guess I have to press this button in order to get out. I think maybe they used to have reception down here, right by the door, and that would be a much more welcoming feeling, but they moved it up to the first floor. So yeah, hotel reception, first floor. But I think I have to push a button to release the magnet. Did it work? It did. Yeah, I saw it last night. Well, actually, I saw it this morning at about 3 a.m. I was looking out my window. My room is right up there, I guess, one of those windows. And that restaurant is sort of a buffet style. And they were open at 3 a.m. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be eating there a lot because I love buffet, economy rice sort of places. But yeah, this is my neighborhood. I'm seeing it pretty much in real daylight for the first time. And for transportation, it's right beside the monorail station. There's the Chow Kit monorail. It's not the most convenient because the monorail is the slowest and least convenient way of getting around, and in terms of the connections it makes. And I'm not that familiar with getting in and out using the Chow Kit station, so I'm sort of having to rewire my brain to figure out, okay, I know where I want to go. And when I was staying in the Masjid Jamak area or Pasar Seni area, it was just instinctive. I just hopped into the MRT or LRT and my feet would know exactly where to go. I didn't even have to think, but here I have to start thinking again. So yeah, there's the monorail train. So what I'm doing right now is heading out to get passport photos taken and to print out my application form and my receipt for payment, all these sorts of things. Yeah, I have to say my plans were completely torpedoed right out of the gate. I had this idea in my mind. I had two ideas in my mind. Both of them turned out to be completely wrong. For one thing, I was told by several sources that since I'm renewing a passport, just because the pages are full, I don't need references and I don't need a guarantor. I can do a simplified application process. So I don't need references, basically. That's what I was told, that's what I understood. And my idea was, which is what I always like to do, is this morning I was just going to get up, go to the Canadian High Commission and just talk to somebody. Put my passport in front of them and say, okay, here's my situation. What do I need to do? Is there a simplified application process? Which form do I use? And these forms, I can never fill them out because they don't apply to me ever. They'll have a form that says, list your addresses within the last 2 years. And I don't know what to do with that because I've lived in hotels and guest houses for the last 2 years. I don't have an address. And even if you try to put in the name of a hotel, it doesn't work because it doesn't fit the parameters for a residence. And at the end it says, how many months were you at this hotel, and how many months at this hotel, and how many months? And I'm like, well, I was there for one night. So and it doesn't say, you can't put in how many days you were there. It actually says from this month to that month, because it assumes it was your apartment and you lived there. And I have never lived anywhere for a very long time. So I can't fill out these forms, ever. Same with occupation, with phone numbers, I mean, they defeat me right out of the gate. So it's easier to go to the High Commission, to go to the embassy, and then you're sitting there in front of someone and they look at you and ask you a question. It's like, oh, so you've been traveling for 2 years. Oh, I get it. And then they take out their big red pen and they wipe out all those sections of the form. Oh, this doesn't apply to you, this doesn't apply to you. And they have the power to do it. So that's why I like to go there in person. Everything is so easy. Everything is so much simpler. So those are my two ideas. Number one, I did not need references. And number two, I was just going to go to the embassy and walk in and talk to somebody. And then I was going to fill out all the forms after they told me what to do. But it turns out that you cannot go to the High Commission anymore. You have to have an appointment. They do not accept any walk-ins. So if I just showed up there, they would turn me away because they say, oh no, you have to have an appointment. So I looked into making an appointment so I could go in and talk to somebody, but you can't. You can only make an appointment if you've already filled out the forms and you're ready to go and you've already paid for your passport. If you don't have the receipt that you've paid and you haven't already submitted the application form, they won't let you in. They will not give you an appointment until you filled out the forms and paid. But I can't figure out how to fill out the forms or how much I have to pay until I have an appointment and can talk to someone. So it's another one of these catch-22s, and I'm in a catch-22 universe. There's a chow kit, busy, bustling, interesting chow kit. A lot of Pakistani restaurants here. I think this whole street has like a dozen of really nice Pakistani restaurants. That's what I'm told anyway. But yeah, I live in a world of catch-22s. You must do this, but in order to do this, you need this. But you can't get this until you do this. It's like a never-ending circle and a loop. And the final outcome of all of that is I was up until 3 a.m. this morning on my computer just trying to figure out what to do. And one of my main questions was, okay, do I qualify for this simplified application form? And do I need references or don't I? And I could not get an answer. I went around the Canadian government website like Sherlock Holmes with a magnifying glass, looking and looking and looking and looking and looking. Nowhere did it ever specify one way or the other because my situation is not listed, which is another thing that always happens to me. I never fit into the categories because when you look for information, it says, oh, if your passport was stolen, use this form, do this. It costs this much. If your passport was damaged, do this and this and this. If your passport is expired, do this and this and this. But none of those apply to me. My passport isn't damaged, it's not expired, it wasn't stolen. The pages are full. And nowhere on the website, nowhere in the guidelines, nowhere in the manuals. I must have looked at hundreds of pages, read everything. Not once do they ever mention what to do if your passport is full and there are no more empty pages. If that information is there, I couldn't find it. And then I was using AI as well to ask some of my questions, because they're more powerful, they're smarter than I am, and even they couldn't agree. Grok told me over and over and over, you do not need references, absolutely not. And then Grok kept saying, I read it on the website, I read it here and here, and I read it here. But every time I clicked on the links that Grok gave me, I got a 404 error message. So I told Grok, all of your links are coming back 404. And he says, oh, I'm sorry about that, but I'm telling you, you do not need references. You do not. And then I talked to ChatGPT, same questions, same data, same input. Oh yes, you absolutely need 2 references. You must. And I pitted the 2 AIs against each other. I told Grok, hey, ChatGPT says you're wrong. And then Grok says, no, I am 100% right. ChatGPT is wrong. And then they argued with each other. Anyway, in the end, I couldn't figure it out. So I just decided to get references anyway. Anyway, more about references in a minute. I better get up on the platform. I'm up on the monorail platform. And from here, you can see my hotel. There it is right there, the Hotel O Crossroads. Something like that. Yeah, there's probably a place here in Chow Kit where I can get passport photos taken, but I don't really want to deal with a tiny neighborhood photo shop where they may or may not understand the Canadian specifications for your passport photos. So I'm heading to a bit of a ritzier mall. They have a couple of photo shops there that are recommended, that they're professional and they know what they're doing, and I'm hoping it will be an easy process because I'm so tired. Funny thing is, my plan was to go to bed last night as early as possible, get really well rested, and then go to the embassy, find out everything from them, maybe get a recommendation of where to go to get passport photos. And after being really well rested, I figured I would look my best for my photo, which I might have to live with for the next 10 years. But instead, I was up until 3 on my computer and then awake until 4, and I'm exhausted today. I'm so stressed out. I'm just so nuts right now trying to figure out this whole getting a passport renewed business. So much more complicated than I expected. I couldn't figure out anything. Oh, and the payment system. Oh, for Pete's sake. Because you have to pay in advance, but they make that so complicated too because, I don't know, they don't explain anything, but it turns out that, I mean, I didn't know how much to pay because I don't know what I'm applying for. So I just have to guess, right? But then in order to pay, you have to open an account with the Canadian government. And then once you have the account, and that's a whole deal, like security numbers, we'll send you the security code, choose your passwords, now you register, fill out all of this. And I'm like, I thought I was just putting this on my credit card, but no, you have to open an account first and do this and do that. And then you go through the and so many steps for security, verification, security. It was just crazy. So I'm going a little bit nuts, as you can tell. And then I figured something out that really amazed me. It was a good thing, and yet, oh, that's not my train. I wish I'd known it earlier because I have trouble getting references because I don't know anybody in Canada anymore and I'm not in regular contact with these people. So I need 2 references and they have to have known me for 2 years and they can vouch for my identity. So I'm racking my brains like, who? Like, and now I need them within 24 hours. So it's like an emergency. And now some friend of mine that I haven't talked to for 10 years, what am I going to do? Send them an email that says, oh, you may not remember me, but I need a reference for the Canadian government here in Malaysia. I mean, that is just rude, right? To hit up an old friend after 10 years with a request like that. But I've lost, people move all the time, people get on with their lives, they get married, they have kids. You lose touch. So I don't know anybody. And I'm sending out emails to people, I'm waiting for replies, I'm like pulling my hair out. And then, after all of this, I'm doing more research, trying to figure this out. I stumble across the fact your reference doesn't have to be Canadian. But they never say that. It is never said anywhere, right? On the form, it says your reference has to be 19 years old or over, and they must have known you for 2 years, and they must have a phone number and an address and an email address so that we can contact them. That's what it says. But that's all they say. So everybody just assumes, well, it's a Canadian passport, I must find 2 Canadian references. But they did not specifically specify must be Canadian. And they think that's enough to tell you that, oh, citizenship doesn't matter. They can be from Malaysia, they can be from the Philippines, Taiwan, Australia. And once I figured that out, again at like 2 in the morning, I'm like, oh, for Pete's sake. And now, of course, friends of mine here in Malaysia that I know they're awake at 2 in the morning. They just are. So I get on WhatsApp and say, hey, you up? And they're like, yeah, I'm awake. Hey, do you mind if I use you as a reference? Oh, sure, put my name down. Done instantly. Because I could use people that I know in Malaysia, from Australia, from Indonesia, anybody at all. And those are all the people that I know. I don't know any Canadians. And it turns out I didn't need to. Your references didn't have to be Canadian, but nowhere in the form do they specify that. Just, oh man, what I've gone through over the last 24 hours, just crazy. But I guess it's normal, isn't it? I'm not telling anybody anything they don't already know. Whatever country you're in, go to your government's website, try to do something, deal with an account, get an ID. We're all facing the same thing, right? It's always a jumble, it's always confusing. But as I said, my main weapon for cutting through the confusion is to physically go places and ask them in person, because I don't fit their predefined categories. And when I see someone in person, they get it instantly. Oh, so you're homeless. Oh, you don't have a job. Oh, you don't have any. Okay, then they just get out the form and they just fill it out and we're done. It's so easy. But now you can't do that. You can't go to the embassy. You can't go to the High Commission. You have to do this on your own. So, yeah, that was the main problem. I'm 100% sure there's a much easier way of doing what I'm doing, but this is what I'm doing. I rode the monorail to Bukit Nanas station, and here you can walk to Dang Wangi station. So, yeah, there's a Bukit Nanas. It's basically a pineapple hill, and that's the hill where the KL Tower is located. I don't think we can see it right now, not yet, but that's Bukit Nanas, KL Tower, and the Kelana Jaya Line station, Dang Wangi, is around here somewhere. So they call it an interchange station, but there's no actual connection between the two. You basically have to exit this station and then walk to the other station, but they call it an interchange. So I got to figure out where it is. I'm a little bit disoriented right now. Back amongst the giants of Kuala Lumpur, all the skyscrapers. Yeah, you know you're in Kuala Lumpur again when you're surrounded. Oh, there's the KL Tower on Bukit Nanas. When you're surrounded by all these skyscrapers. Oh, there's the Petronas Towers. That's actually where I'm going, to the Petronas Towers. I'm going to the KLCC Surya Mall. There's a couple of passport photo places there. As I said, there's probably a much better way, better place to go and a better way to get there, but this is what I came up with. Oh, I was saying that one way you know you're in KL is all the skyscrapers. The other way is when you're at an intersection like that. And the crosswalks do work, like the little red man saying stop and the green man saying you can cross. They do work, but man, oh man, you swear you've been there 20 minutes waiting for your walk signal. They have really long traffic light sequences here. I remember noticing that when I came back from Vietnam. Vietnam had very rapid turnover of the traffic lights. Like they just went from red to green very, very quickly, like 30 seconds or 40 seconds. And it probably doesn't make any difference in the long run, but you feel like you're moving faster, you're making more progress. But here, yeah, in KL, you wait a long time for the light to turn. So Dang Wangi, where are you? I've gone through Dang Wangi lots of times, but it's a very confusing LRT station. It's hidden I think it might be hidden inside all this construction. I was right. You can get into Dang Wangi over here. I recognize this pedestrian bridge. It's right beside the entrance. But I think the official entrance is on the other side. You got to go through a tunnel here, through the construction to get to it. But when it comes to this passport business, to be honest, I've barely even scratched the surface of everything that happened over the last few hours as I've been trying to figure this all out. One other thing I haven't mentioned yet, that I guess I'm just a dummy, but I never figured this out until way at the very end, is that, like, I go onto the website, the Canadian government website, and says you have to complete your application before you make your appointment. So to me, completing your application is filling it out and submitting it, and then you open it up. There it is, it's on your computer, and you can fill in all the spaces on your computer. You can fill out the form, and I figure, okay, so I have to fill everything out, and then you click submit. So the thing with that is, once you've clicked submit, you're committed to whatever you filled out on that form. So if you chose the wrong box, wrote the wrong phone number, chose the wrong type of application form, okay, well, it's too late because you've submitted it. So that added an extra layer of stress, you know, and confusion. And I was like, But then I kept seeing little notes here and there that didn't make any sense to me. And here's the entrance to Dang Wangi. Gotta go way, way down, I guess. And because it would say, okay, then print it out, sign it, and bring it with you to your appointment. So I'm thinking, well, I've submitted it online. I would normally print out a copy anyway, just for my own records. That's normal. But how, like, I just assumed it would be a digital signature because it's an online form. And there were some other things where they said, well, if this is the case for you, then just cross out the box or write not applicable or something like that. I'm like, well, I can't do that on this form. It's a digital online form where I only have choices. I can't. What are you talking about? And at long last, I finally figured out that this form is not digital. It is a PDF, which is digital, of course, but you don't submit it online. Being able to type into the PDF on your computer is just a convenience for you. So you can open up the form on your computer, fill out all the forms, and then you have to print it out. And then once it's printed out, then you sign it. But you haven't submitted it online, if you know what I mean. So technically, you don't have to fill it out on your computer. That's just an option. If you wanted to, you could download the form, print it out, and fill out the whole thing by hand. But they didn't tell me that. I didn't know that. It was an online form where they had boxes where you had to click on them and choose month, date, right? But you didn't have to do that. You could print it on paper, sit down in a coffee shop and just fill it out by hand. It's like, oh, I didn't understand that at all. Anyway, diving into the LRT. Oh, maybe I just missed my train. I'm not sure which side I'm supposed to be at. I am at Dang Wangi, and I want to go to KLCC. Yeah, my train just left. Of course it did. Oh, that's weird though. I thought the way these work, this should all be grayed out to show you what direction the train is going in, like this one. These are all grayed out because that's where the train has been, and this is where it's going. It's very clear, it's very intuitive, but they made a mistake with this one. They didn't gray out part of the sign. I wish I'd known all of this before I started the process, because to be honest, if I knew it was going to be like this and it was this expensive, I might have tried to push my passport for a bit longer, because again, this drives me nuts. There is empty space in my passport. I could probably go to 5, 6 more countries, and if the immigration officer goes looking through my passport, he'll find, oh, here's half a page empty, here's half a page empty. They can always find places, so I could travel on it for a while yet, but the rule is you have to have at least one completely blank page. That's the rule, and you can run into trouble if you don't have a fully, like if their stamp doesn't fit in any of the empty spaces, well, then they're not going to let you in the country. It's bureaucracy, right? So I was like, no. I decided to get it over with just in case, do the smart thing for once. And not very smart as it turns out. But yeah. Though my discovery that you do not submit the form online, you bring it on paper, it actually felt better to me, because that means I will have a chance to sit down with an immigration, a government employee at the Canadian High Commission, and I haven't submitted the form yet. And we can look at my form together, and this person can tell me, oh, no, you didn't have to fill that out. We don't need references, or, oh, no, that means this. They can correct all of my mistakes for me once they understand who I am and what my situation is. If I had to submit the form online, all of my mistakes would be solidified. I wouldn't be able to change anything. But now I'm going to get that human connection that I was looking for. But I really wish I understood that from the beginning, right? Because again, the way they explained it to me, it sounded like complete your application first, which I assume meant complete it, fill it out and submit it, then pay for it, then make an appointment and come in to see us. That's the way it all made sense to me. But the way it turns out really is you can just print out the form, fill it out by hand, make as many mistakes as you want, and there's a chance still to correct it, to massage it and have it make sense, right? Yeah, anyway, I guess I should stop babbling. This isn't news to anybody. This is something we all struggle with all the time. Or maybe all of you never have these problems. You just understand how things work and you do it in a more efficient way. I really struggle. All these things end up being so difficult and complicated. I've jumped way ahead in time. In fact, I don't even know what time it is. I feel like I'm living in a world where time doesn't exist. Yeah, 6:15. I've been doing this all day long, and I really basically accomplished nothing. But I jumped ahead mainly because I hit record on the GoPro and I was talking about a whole bunch of other stuff, but for whatever reason the file didn't get saved. So there's a whole bunch of stuff missing. But what I did was I went to the KLCC Surya Mall because I understood there were at least 2 really good places there to get passport photos. I checked all this online. I looked up names and addresses and reviews and things like that, and checked with my AI buddies, and so yeah, off I went. And there was supposed to be a place called Key Color and another place called Photochem, and it turns out they aren't there at all. So when I got there, I was at what the heck am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be crossing the road over here. Yeah, I'm back in my neighborhood. I'm back at the Chow Kit monorail station after a very long journey to get here. Yeah, it's not nearly as convenient as where I used to stay, around either Pasar Seni or Masjid Jamek. Getting out here and getting out of here and then back here takes a long time. Very slow and very inefficient place to live from that point of view. Public transportation. I was just saying that when I got there, I went into the mall expecting to find this place pretty easily. Either one of them. I went up to the big information board. You can search their directory. Nope. You type in Key Color. Nah, we don't have anything like that here. Photochem. Nothing there. I tried to find any other shop, considering it's a huge shopping center. anybody that could make passport photos. Nothing. I could not find a thing. And it turned out that the two places I was looking for, Key Color and Photochem in particular, they did exist, but they were at Mid-Valley Mega Mall. And that really annoyed me because I was told that Key Color was at either Surya Mall or Mid-Valley Mega Mall, and I could pick which one to go to. And for some reason, I thought it would be easier to go to Surya, even though I far prefer the Mega Mall. I like the Mega Mall. It's easy for me to get to. It's a bit far away, but anyway. But I decided to go to Surya, and that turned out to be a mistake because there was nothing there. So then I had to turn around, retrace my journey, and go all the way out to Mega Mall. That's quite a journey. Anyway, I got to the Mega Mall, and I did find Key Color, and I walked up to the place, just hardly even daring to breathe. I was just like, please let it be open. Please let them be nice to me. Please let it be possible to get photos done. I really need this. Please, I need this. Give me a little bit of luck here. And then I walked into the place, and I was very lucky. They were open. They were willing to make the photos for me. They weren't very busy. Though at the very beginning, the woman who was helping me out did have that. It's pretty common, I find, here in Malaysia that someone in a store, when they see a foreigner come in, or maybe for all customers, I don't know, because customer service in Malaysia, to be honest, it's a hit and miss. But anyway, she had that deer caught in the headlights look, like just stone-faced and like, So I wasn't getting the warm welcome, what can we do for you, sir, sort of experience. And of course, that always makes me uncomfortable, and I start trying to make little jokes, trying to lighten the mood, trying to break the ice, and that just makes them look at me like I'm an insane person. But anyway, we worked through the details about what the Canadian passport photo is supposed to look like, the right dimensions, all of that stuff. And then I sat down on the stool, and I felt so awkward with this woman because she still seemed very, very nervous around me, or just kind of weird. And so I was still kind of throwing out little jokes or little comments, and I was just sort of like small talk, not jokes, just small talk. And I said to her something, okay, so I have to make sure neutral expression, right? Like no smiling, because that's the rule for passport photos. If you're smiling, they reject it. It has to be flat, neutral expression. And I kind of said that to her in a joking way, you know, I've got to make sure I don't smile. So I'm sitting there trying to give a neutral expression, and she finally said something. I can't remember her exact words, but she said something like, well, you don't have to look like you want to murder me, sir. So I guess I was trying to be neutral, but I came across like an international criminal. So I was like, then I smiled and I laughed and I tried to wake up my face because I haven't slept. I was barely sleeping in Port Dickson because my room there was just so blisteringly hot. My unbelievably noisy fan, I just haven't been getting any sleep at all. And then I didn't get any sleep last night because I stayed up all night just trying to figure out how to get a passport. So I look exhausted, I look old, I look terrible. And then she took the picture, showed it to me on her camera on the LCD screen, and said, well, what do you think? And to be honest, I mean, I look like an international criminal. I look exactly how I feel. Exhausted, half dead, stressed out, tired, all of that. The picture is horrible. It's one of the worst pictures I've ever had of myself. But I said to her, oh yeah, I mean, as long as it suits the parameters, I don't care what I look like, that's fine. I'll work with that. And I kind of like that I look so awful, because every time I look at my passport, hopefully for the next 10 years, I'll see that photo and I'll remember this day and yesterday. You know, it's going to be like a souvenir of this experience. But hopefully the High Commission of Canada will accept these photos. I got the stamp on the back. It all seems very quaint though, all these security procedures, because you have to, you know, your photo has to match certain dimensions, the lighting has to be just so, You can't have a smile. You can't have reflections in your glasses. You can't have this. You can't have that. And then they have to put a stamp on the back of the photo with the name of the studio, the date the photo was taken. So that's proof it's like a real, genuine photo, something that you haven't doctored. But again, that seems kind of quaint now. But anyway, those are the rules. And I got all that done, so hopefully the photos, as horrible as I look basically exactly like this, which is probably pretty horrible. Hopefully it'll be okay for my passport. So the next stage is tomorrow morning. I have my appointment, and then I go to the Canadian High Commission, hand over all my papers, my receipt that I paid, etc., etc., etc. And then I guess I have to wait 5 weeks, 2 months, until I get my new one. And then that's the tricky part. I have to live in Malaysia for at least 5 weeks without a passport. And I don't know how complicated that's going to be. I assume at hotels I can give them a photocopy, but that's my passport number, etc., etc. But we'll find out what happens. So I think that's it. I'm gonna grab some milk from the KK store here, go back to my room and collapse. So yeah, it was kind of a story time video, wasn't it? All I did was stand around and talk and tell stories about the horrors of applying for or applying to renew a Canadian passport. That's all I've done today. Anyway, that's it. Shutting down.